So today we're going to be meeting Sofyan Almoayed from Bahrain, an amazing entrepreneur that has a lot of life learnings to share. This interview is part of the YPO interview series. If you like to hear more about CEOs sharing their advice and their life learning, consider subscribing in the link below. Let's get to the interview.
My name is Sofyan Almoayed. I am the managing director of Almoayed Investments, which is a group of companies that was established about 20 years ago. Established by myself with the help of my father, who I am eternally grateful for putting all this trust in me. He has given me the capital. He has given me the push to start my own route. This later became our new family business. My brother joined me 6-7 years later, and he continues to be my partner today. He's running many of the divisions. Recently, in the last 4 or 5 years, I introduced him to YPO. So he's also a YPO in the Bahrain chapter. I think more than anything, the people who have helped me in this journey that got me to where I am today is YPO, to be honest with you.
We're a multi-generational family business, which has been in Bahrain for many years. I personally graduated from college, did not want to join the family business. As you can imagine, you have cousins and uncles and aunts and second cousins and so on. So I opted to start a new career. Before doing that, as my father put it, he said, "Don't waste our money, waste somebody else's money, and then you can come and join us." Went and took my master's degree in the UK, and then came back and started a new group of companies, which is where I'm working today. Now, the group of companies, as I started it, I realized that a lot of people have an issue in being in business because they don't enjoy what they do. So what I have done is I've decided to go only into businesses which I enjoy. So as I had studied partially computer science and computers, and I was in love with IT, I created a company to cater to Apple users. So I became the Apple distributor in Bahrain and Saudi and the region. As I was interested in coffee and drinking good coffee, I went into the coffee distribution business and so on. So we continued along these lines, and we continued to pursue what later became a lifestyle products. Basically, we found out that everything that we went into is something that people would pay extra for because it is something that they want to brag about almost. You know, it's a better product. It enhances your lifestyle, if nothing else. They're all businesses which I liked, and at different points, I felt more passionate about every single one of them. When we went into the motorcycle business, for example, I became a fan of the Piaggio group and rode a Vespa and so on. When we took the distribution for Ducati, I was riding a Ducati and I took a group of YPO friends on a trip around Italy on Ducatis. When we bought Harley Davidson, now we're looking at setting up hog trips around the Middle East and so on. So every company has its time and life, basically, and every company targets a different audience. I would say I started a new family business. I wouldn't say I went the entrepreneurship route. And I think this is the biggest distinguishing factor between the older family businesses and newer family businesses and entrepreneurship. There's a perception with entrepreneurship that you're looking for an exit. And I think the difference between us and whom you might call an entrepreneur is that I'm not looking for an exit anytime soon. I'm in this business, I'm building it, I'm hoping that my kids, if they don't work in it, and most likely they will not, that at least they'd be able to get dividends and benefit from it in the future. A lot of entrepreneurs nowadays build a business with the hope of selling it. And I think personally, this is a very personal opinion, I think that's the biggest mistake. If you build a business to last, you will get people coming and offering to buy it, and then you can decide. But building a business to sell it before you start, I think this is one of the holes that they all tend to fall into. What I keep telling a lot of people is that we have a big advantage being a small country. A lot of people are intelligent. We have, especially in a setting like YPO, you have a lot of people with very high IQ. I think being from a small country exposes you to the same people again and again and again. And people in Bahrain have something called the island mentality. You know, you really get frustrated. If you're trapped in Saudi and you can't leave the country, you're the size of Europe. But if you're trapped in Bahrain, it's 10 miles by 10 miles. That's a whole different story. But I think the result in that is that it allows people to become natural born politicians almost. In other words, in YPO speak, it allows them to develop their EQ. So you see a lot of people who come from Bahrain don't only have the IQ, but they also address situations in different ways. They're very mature in terms of the sense of business, not only in how to do business, that ability to connect, and I think that comes from being from a smaller country. I think the biggest thing that actually helped us in Bahrain is the amount of money the government has spent on supporting small businesses. They actually paid our salaries on our behalf for 6 months. Okay, if you're paid $10,000 a month, if you're paid $1,000 a month, the government completely took on the salaries for Bahrainis. They gave us free electricity and free water for 6 months. So the support we got from the government, and especially coming from a small country where the income is not as high as our neighbors, I think that just made all the difference. And we're in the IT field, so we've been trying to convince people to go virtual. And I've been in the boards that I'm on. I've been trying to get the meetings to be held online. And there's a lot of resistance to that. All of a sudden, it's acceptable and it's done and it's the in thing and people are trying to find ways. I think the system had to give at some point. I personally reached a point where I was living on an airplane, and I'm very grateful that COVID came about and I got to spend more time with my family and my kids. I have my own coffee index, I call it, because we supply all the major 5-star hotels with coffee. My coffee index tells me how many people are actually occupying the hotels, because people tend to have coffee for breakfast. So if my coffee sales are high, that means tourism is really high and that people are staying in hotels in Bahrain. If my coffee index is bad, that means nobody's staying in hotels. The coffee business, needless to say, has died a death because all the hotels and restaurants have closed down. The travel and tourism business, which we're in, has died. The construction business, which we're in, hasn't performed as well, but we got a lot of support from the government. Interestingly, the motorbike division, who knew, but apparently motorbikes are socially distanced and safe and a good way to sort of, tell your joke. So we had a lot of people going on rides and that did extremely well. The computer business did well because all of a sudden everybody needs to have an iPad and a computer. We did have shortages from many suppliers. I'm not going to mention names, but many of our suppliers had shortages worldwide because of the closure of factories in China, because of various reasons. Some companies, if I had more, I could have sold more. And then some companies just died completely, like tourism and coffee and so on. I'm surprised at the older generation's take to technology. I never thought I would see a day when my father and people my father's age, I walked in on him the other day and he was in a board meeting and there were 6-7 people all in their 70s having a Zoom call. That I did not expect that there would ever come a day that I would see that. One of the companies I invested in 2-3 years ago was a company that does telehealth, telemedicine. And again, a year ago, we went and we introduced them to a bunch of people. We spoke to government entities in Bahrain and the rest of the Middle East. And the reaction was there's absolutely no way that we would ever go telehealth. This is something that would never pick up. All of a sudden, 6 months later, 7 months later, they're calling us and saying, can you please come back? We need to talk. So sometimes just strike it lucky in some cases, I have a watch from this company. It's the only company in the world that manufactures a watch, a smartwatch, which takes blood pressure. Okay, so I had this watch, I put my finger on it, it took my blood pressure. I immediately got a call from my doctor saying, you have high blood pressure. This was 4 months ago. Okay, so this is the other side of how am I, reacting to Corona. I guess I have high blood pressure. But the doctor called me and said, you have high blood pressure, and this is the medication. And the prescription was sent to me. My doctor is in Italy. Prescription was sent to me from Italy instantly. I took it to the pharmacy. They gave me medicine. I'm on blood pressure medication for the last 2-3 months. Okay, I did not even set foot in a hospital. So this shows you on how technology has moved and how we accept that. If you had told me a year or two ago that I'm going to be put on medication without physically seeing a doctor, I would laugh at you. We are global citizens. Don't take a degree or not take a degree because you want to be employed in Bahrain. Think of yourself as a global citizen. Think what you would do in order to be employable anywhere around the world. And that is what I was taught, and that is what, I remember finishing from my bachelor's degree, and the day I finished, my dad came to me and said, you need to go for a master's degree. I said, yeah, I just finished 4 years. Why would I go for a master's degree? He goes, because everybody has a bachelor's. If you want to survive in today's world, you have to get a master's. And I said, yeah, but I have a job at home. I'm guaranteed a job pretty much. He goes, that doesn't make any difference. One day, you might need a job outside. And he continued with that pressure until I actually left my job in Bahrain and went and got my master's degree. So I think any competitive edge that you can get, you should get. I think I taught them well enough for them to be able to push themselves. Whether they want to be, one of my daughters wants to be a war photographer or war reporter. You know, at one point, my kids wanted to be into music. Why not? As long as you excel at what you do and as long as you love it, the rest will just fall into place. Other parents are telling their kids to go into business. No, don't study business. Business will come to you. You know, study something you're passionate about, you know. I would love it if they excelled in their own fields and did stuff, and I would love for them to make me beg them to come back because I need them here. The business needs them. You know, I'd rather they don't grow up and be part of the business and people take them for granted. I want them to excel so much outside that the family business is begging them to come and be part of it. And that's the whole policy behind the business. Do something that's comfortable, do something that will keep you happy and relaxed, you know.
I love the mug. This is amazing.
I thought you would.
Thank you so much, Sofyan. Thank you for giving your advice. Thank you for giving your time. It's been a pleasure hosting you, and I hope to see you soon in person, not only on Zoom. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.